Hello, everybody. Welcome back to everything you wanted to know about surrogacy, but were maybe afraid to ask. I am Jarret Zafran from Brownstone Surrogacy. I will be joined shortly by my collaborator, Jenn White of Bright Futures Families, and we're going to talk tonight about surrogates' partners and support system, which I think is an under. Jenn, are you there? Did we do it? Hello.
Hello.
It worked.
Every time. We're getting good at this.
I'm always surprised. Good to see you virtually after having actually seen you in person.
No, I know. It was so exciting to see everyone. I'm reliving my moments as I'm sitting here. I still even
Yeah.
I have my name tag here. I wear it around my house. It's fine. Yeah.
I, I dumped the name tag, but I have the turtle you gave me sitting right next to me. Well, it
Yay.
was before we dive into our topic tonight, which is the role that a surrogate's partner or support system plays in this. What's one thing that you learned at Seeds or that surprised you at just for those out there that are not intimately in this space with us? Seeds, the Society for Ethics in Egg Donation and Surrogacy. Jenn is on the board of this organization, and we had a conference in Atlanta last week. So what's one thing you took away from this Seeds conference?
I was actually really interested in how much AI conversation there was this time. And that some of it really like all perspectives of it, quite honestly, like very pro, very con, like how to use it safely, how to, like also use it effectively. And so really enjoyed those conversations and expanding my knowledge there. So what about you?
You took mine, but in particular, I was shocked that some agencies were putting surrogates' medical records into AI, and I understand the impulse of getting a nice little review from Claude or ChatGPT to find quickly whether there's any risks hidden in prior pregnancies. But what a profoundly bad idea from a privacy perspective to share any sort of personal identifying information or health information in particular with AI tools. So,
And that would be, I think, like just a general, I know it has nothing to do with what we're our topic today, but that might be
nope.
something for surrogates when you are interviewing or talking to agencies. Ask
Yes.
them, do you put my medical records into AI? And that's something that you can use to make just one more differentiating, like as
Right.
to who you feel comfortable. Everybody has their own feelings about it, right? But it might help you decide who you feel comfortable with.
Yes. HIPAA compliance, among other things, is just a marker of an agency that is taking things seriously and watching out for you.
I mean,
Speak.
I did love, and like, sorry, we're gonna go like they actually that somebody sat at the front and taught all of us how to change our chat GPT or whatever we were using
Yeah.
to turn it off so that it's not sharing. And I was really pleased to note that mine was already off. So I was really thankful that even without knowing I'd already done it correctly. So
Jenn, I had a great segue to our topic, and now
okay,
I'm going to
go.
have to pretend as though it was just off the
Oh.
cuff, but
Okay, do it. Do it. It
it's
is.
okay. That was
You know me and my cheesy segues anyway. They always are. So
it's
go for
true.
it.
You on your podcast, everyone should listen to Jenn's podcast. Great segues. I was going to say that speaking of support, I think you mentioned the word support. Anyway, surrogates partners.
Yes.
um, what role do they play? I will say at the outset, before we get into specifics of what is required of somebody that is showing up for a surrogate during her journey, that I always call them the unsung heroes, because I feel like, early on we meet with them, and a lot of times you get some sort of like, well, this is her thing, and I'm here to support her, but they sort of don't assume that they're going to have a big role to play. And obviously the surrogate is in many ways the star of the show, but if you talk to them again at the end of the journey, I mean, some, maybe this didn't profoundly impact them, but so many at the end are like, I get it. I was profoundly moved by the experience. What a beautiful thing to show our children. Like, I feel very connected to these intended parents, and I'm so glad that my spouse or partner or sister or daughter or whatever helped them in this incredible way. So, you sort of see a sea change in attitudes a lot of times, like
Yeah.
with partners. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we have to start before we get to the end of a successful journey. I think we have to start at the beginning as to where and why, especially, good agencies are asking people, do you have that support? And I will say, I have seen people go, oh, it's okay, he's fine, he'll be there, he'll be there, just don't worry, he doesn't need to come to this, he's fine.
No, no, no.
And it turns out he's not fine, and he won't
Yeah.
sign the legal agreement, or won't show up for things when needs to be, or doesn't think that he's going to need to do anything like, oh, hey, you're going to have to either pee in a cup or give blood for STI testing, right? And I have absolutely seen spouses object to that and say, absolutely not, I will not do that, this is not my thing, it's her thing. No.
Yep.
And it ends the journey. And so she's really upset and disappointed because she did not fully explore with her partner, even from the outset, as to how important their support, while she thought it was minimal, right? It wasn't. It was huge and it was vital. So, like,
Yep.
even from the very outset, we're not even talking about like through the remainder of the journey, like just the buy-in is so, so, so important.
Yeah. I mean, we've had surrogates sort of say, well, he works all the time, and, what does it even matter? And even object to finishing a background check.
Mhm.
And, that's sort of like its own little, let's say, yellow
I
flag.
was gonna say soft
It's close
yellow.
to
Yeah.
red. Yeah. Orange. It's
Yeah.
heading towards
Yeah.
red.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Like, I'm thinking of a one surrogate candidate in particular that had come to us from another agency, and then ended up, going back to that agency because we said we wouldn't move forward. And clearly, they did not have a problem with the fact that he was very much in her life, and yet would not show up in this journey in any way, shape, or form. There was also criminal history that they didn't want to disclose, and that obviously was another deal breaker for us, and clearly not for that other agency. And then I noticed, a number of comments in the Facebook groups from her promoting that other agency,
Another
and in
agency.
some
Yep.
cases even saying things about us. And I was
Mm.
like, well, I cannot respond to this comment, but there is a story.
Yep. And you said something about criminal, and to be clear, I would say a lot of people come to us very nervous, like, hey, my partner has something in their history. Like, that doesn't mean an
Yeah,
automatic
not in the
disqualification.
slightest.
It's I mean, I will say my biggest barometer for that is your honesty level,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you can be upfront and open with us from the start, and you lead with, hey, you know what, he did something really stupid, when he was you know 21 years old in college, he,
Yeah.
public intoxication, it's on his record, like, I mean, I have somebody, and I mean, I don't want to throw this too, but who stole a Chick-fil-A cow off of a sign, like, okay, he was young, he was, he did a thing. It
He
was,
was really sick and tired of that "Eat More Chicken" campaign from those cows on billboards.
I mean, honestly, it was actually a really funny conversation during the MAT meeting about the disclosure. So on that one,
I must confess, I stole a cow, not a real cow.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. But I mean, in all seriousness, like, there are, yes, generally, I mean, the answer is you've paid your, you've served your time, you've done what you need to do. It's about being honest and letting everybody make a decision as to whether or not they feel comfortable going forward, as long as that spouse is willing to be there and be part of that, and be part of that greater conversation. There are some things
Yes.
that I think we all would say no go, but I mean, that's a whole other conversation that we have. But but that participation is really important, and that disclosure is really important in that.
Yep. So we've got background checks.
Mhm.
When Jen mentioned, peeing in a cup. There may be infectious disease screening that the clinic requires,
Yep.
that any intimate partner, so even if it's not a spouse or somebody that you live with, even so for unpartnered surrogates, if there's any sort of intimate partner in their lives whatsoever, they may need to be tested by the clinic. They probably should be. Certainly, any spouse or partner that they do live with or legally married to or rely upon joins for the psych evaluation, which I think a lot of people don't realize is
Yep.
a really crucial part of this. And at least for us, we also do the testing on our partner psychologists do the testing on the spouse or partner as well.
We do too. So the PA, so I think if people who don't know out there who are watching don't know what that is, they're talking about the PAI generally. So personality assessment inventory. I'm going to get that. I'm going to
Correct.
totally butcher
Yep,
that.
that's it.
It's
Not that that
about
not that that acronym tells you like anything about what the test is anyway. It's like 350 weird questions that make no sense. But when a psychologist interprets them, are supposed to reveal any evidence of psychopathology. So
correct.
anyway,
Correct.
yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So we also same thing. Everybody, all the partners have to do it too. So it's also an investment of their time, is what it really comes down to, right? It's going to be an hour evaluation. You're going to be doing, at least an hour of that PAI. Depending on the clinic, some clinics require the partners to travel with the gestational carrier to the actual medical screening appointment, which means it's a day off of work, right? Or if it's not, sometimes it may be, hey, we all feel more comfortable with you watching our kids. So they're still gonna have to take a day off of work, a day or two off of work while she's traveling to that clinic because you need somebody to watch the kids, right? Like that's important too, as to who what while you can have other child care plans around you, but you have to have thought about all of that. Who is your support in that process?
That's right. And just looking ahead to what happens potentially during a pregnancy, including periods of bed rest or periods where you're not ordered on bed rest by a doctor, but you are
You
so
just get slowed
nauseous.
down, yeah, because something has slowed you down about the pregnancy, right?
That's right. And so, if it's going to be tough at the outset to get a partner or spouse on board for childcare for just the screening trip, what happens if this pregnancy is not as smooth as your own? And really, a lot of
Right.
household things are, falling on that partner.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also, okay, so I think we could go into all of that because that one is super in depth and really, I think
Yeah.
that falls into the emotional support and, all those things. But I will say that I think sometimes people are surprised by the fact that partner has to sign everything. So, all the legal agreements, because there is, and I know I'm already going to go way too far in the weeds. I'm not an attorney. Jarret is, but not in this area of law. But there's a marital presumption, right? Like, is what it really comes down to, is that under most states' laws, if a baby comes out of a woman's body, it's presumed that baby belongs to that woman, right? Makes everybody's life easy peasy, right? When you go into the hospital, I don't have to prove that the baby that came out of me belongs to me, right? In surrogacy, you have that, you don't have that, right? Like, you want to rebut that presumption, but there's still that presumption that it belongs to the spouse too, right? So that's what they still have to sign off on everything going forward. And so it's really important that they're on board, because what if they suddenly go, yeah, no, I just don't feel like signing documents. No, we can't do that.
I mean, generally in my experience, I feel like no spouse or partner is really keen to have legal responsibility for this child that is not,
Yeah.
genetically connected to them, that they never intended to raise. But also, on top of needing them for the parentage filing, there's also different prohibitions in the contract that apply to them too.
Yes.
There's, abstinence in the SEX form. There's also abstinence
Are we
from,
not allowed
I
to
don't
say
know.
that here? I don't
I
know.
don't know if Instagram is the algorithm
That's
is gonna
fair. Fair enough.
tamp this down if I say a word that I don't
Yeah.
know. At this point, I'm just living my life thinking about algorithms and bots.
Fair enough.
But in addition to that abstinence, there's also, make sure you're not smoking anywhere near her or anywhere in the residence or, secondhand smoke
Or
provisions.
do you own a cat? because,
Yes.
oh,
Now, kitty
hey,
litter.
suddenly she can't change the cat box.
That's
Who's
right.
going to take on that responsibility?
Right. And then travel, right? I mean, in the same way that this is just a massive commitment for the surrogate and means that certain life plans are placed on hold for a year plus, um, there might have been a family trip that the spouse or partner was really excited to go on that is also getting deferred for 6 months or a year because
Right.
surrogate can't travel out of state,
Yeah. What about
past the point of viability.
that annual family reunion that you always go to, right? Like that could change that,
It, it's funny you should mention that because we have a surrogate whose spouse has a family reunion every year in Canada, and
Ooh,
and to her credit, very upfront from day one. I need to transfer on a certain schedule so that come next August, I
I'm
am
ready to
able
go.
to attend this. And if this doesn't work out, where I
Yep.
can deliver in advance to recover and try and travel to Canada, we're going to have to wait a good 6 months between transfer attempts. And I was like, okay, here we go. And right under the wire, she's due in July. But that was really important to both of them. It's something that they were really upfront with at the beginning. It's something we talked about. The intended parents knew as well, and so everybody was on the same page. But that was a non-starter, and that's another reason that early on the partner needs to be there for those conversations to understand the risks they're taking on, but also the disruptions to their life as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll say as I'm watching mine pace in front of me and be very, very supportive in this moment as I'm taking up our living room. I will say the comic relief as surrogacy is hard, right? Like it can be. It can be really heavy. It can be really frustrating. And, like just having that either comic relief or that support or somebody that is there to help you through those really hard moments
Right.
is also really important.
Yes, probably more than all of the logistical things and legal things and medical
Mhm.
things that we talked through. And it doesn't have to be a spouse or partner. And we could
Mhm.
probably do a
Oh
whole
yeah.
half hour and like, what does the support system really look like? And a lot of times it's not a spouse or partner that is really like the emotional support on a day to day basis. It might be a parent, a sibling, a best friend, a neighbor, somebody who's been a surrogate before that's gone through this and can relate.
Yeah.
But there's highs of like there's somebody that's there with you for the highs of matching and successful pregnancies, but also the lows of failed transfers and pregnancy losses, and even you know tensions potentially with intended parents, like a gut check. Am I misreading this text? Am I responding the wrong way? Like, here, honey, take a look at this. Like, is this what they mean? That's
Right.
so important to this, again, year plus relationship that you have with people that started off as perfect strangers a lot of the time.
Right. And I will say, I think it's my favorite thing to watch a lot of the time is that there are times when the spouse or partner comes in really standoffish. She's like, I'm here for her, but I'm not gonna, like I'm not interfering. I'm just gonna kind of sit in the background. And they act like they're kind of fading into the background.
Yeah.
And then they hit it off with one of the parents. And I have seen situations where the spouse is actually becomes closer to the intended parents because something about they just like hit it off, whether it be
Yeah.
sports or fishing or whatever it is, like,
Yeah.
and they become the most amazing friends as well. And like to hear them like just like light up about how amazing this new relationship was for them, like is really fun because you hope and always expect like the carrier is going to get close to intended parents.
Yeah.
I think the spouses generally don't expect that, and so when it happens, it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, especially because I feel like we all talk about how hard it is to make friends as adults, right?
Yes.
Not to say that every surrogacy journey is going to end in a deep and abiding friendship that lasts the rest of your life, but like here is a relationship that's sort of been almost forced upon you by circumstance. Not forced, obviously,
Yeah.
mutual
Yeah.
consent. They chose each other. They
Yeah.
have a lot of information, but you're sort of you're right into the deep end with people in a way that doesn't normally happen in daily life. Like, even if you have kids and you start to meet somebody at the pickup line at school, like that's a slow burn. You have a few conversations. Eventually, maybe it turns into a friendship upon like the fifth playground meeting.
Hmm.
But here is like we are immediately forming a contract together and meeting each other at screening appointments and embryo transfers and getting like very close very quickly by circumstance. And so like if an adult friendship comes out of this when you didn't think that you were making new friends,
Right.
that's a
And
really nice thing.
And I would say like even okay, so kind of if you take the opposite, especially on the beginning awkward, like having your spouse or partner support is like really like when you have those awkward moments and you really need a wing person in the room, you have
Yeah.
them there with you as you're trying desperately to strike up this conversation and
Right.
create this new relationship. I would say the number of times my husband, I'm sure most people, if they watched us long enough, know my husband was in the military for 24 years. And the number of times that I desperately needed a wing person in the room full of people. I had no idea who any of these people were. He knew all of them. And I'm just like, I just constantly like eyes on, locked on. Where is he? I need like my person to introduce me to people or tell me how to like where I need to go or all of those things. And you have that wing person to help you through the
Yeah.
awkward too. That's a great part of having your partner or your trusted person there with
Yeah.
you.
Which is part of the reason why, like, even if a partner is not required to attend a screening appointment, like, we always want a surrogate to have a companion if she wants. Maybe it's her mom or sister or friend. Like, that's somebody to travel with. It's somebody to help grease those wheels and, be there for that first in person meeting. Like, it's the first time that my husband and I met. The surrogate who carried my older daughter, her mother-in-law came with her, and it was great. And like love her mother-in-law, and it was like a
Yeah.
really lovely lunch at like Cheesecake Factory or wherever we went.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it helped.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely super important. So we talked about we glossed at because I think it's a big topic to go back towards support if you need it, especially if there's something that goes wrong,
Hmm.
meaning like bed rest and things like that. And I think that everybody assumes, and I mean, it's everybody has the it's not going to happen to me mindset in this,
Yeah.
and it's fair. It doesn't happen in every journey. It happens in a small percentage of journeys, but when it happens to you, you're 100% in it, right? Like it's the same thing
Yeah.
as the termination conversation we had. When it's happening to you, right? It's 100% happening to you at this moment. And I think that a lot of times people gloss over the conversation with the spouses and partners about how vital their support or having that support network. It doesn't have to be them necessarily,
Yeah.
but having that support network because everybody's like, bed rest, it's fine. I just, like I just lay down. No, it's generally if you're on bed rest, that means you can't get up and even like put a dish in the sink. You're literally allowed to get up and go to the bathroom. You're not allowed to drive the kids to sport practices. You can't clean the house. You can't do any of you can't take care of bedtime routines. None of those things.
Yeah.
And it falls on the spousal partner who's generally, most surrogacy families are two-income households, so they're also going to work as well. So they're working their full day and are also trying to support as well through these hard times potentially. And so those moments are when it is absolutely vital to have that spouse or partner support because they are picking up so much of the load in that time frame.
I often share the story of the amazing surrogate who carried my younger daughter who had hyperemesis. And
Oh,
so, for those that are not aware of that, it's the extreme form of nausea during pregnancy. And she was basically sick as a dog from day one. Like, she didn't even feel great after the transfer,
oh,
all the way through until delivery day. There were times where she was throwing up close to 20 times a day. She ended up having a PICC line to centrally deliver fluids. It was very, very bad. And her husband stepped up in a way that is truly incredible. Um, Not sure I would have called that at the beginning. I mean, nobody called any of this, but boy, did he show up for her and for us by extension, and really carried a massive burden with their kids and with caring for her, because that's not just bed rest. That is also an ongoing medical crisis, and
Yeah. And
so
you're and
yeah,
he's worried about her health and all of that
yes,
during that time frame as well, right? Like, so on top of that, like on top of doing all the
yeah,
things, the emotional stress that he is facing is
yeah,
also extreme.
physical health and mental health, because hyperemesis is it
Horrible.
comes with a very high incidence of severe depression. So
Yeah. Ugh.
um,
Well, I'm so
yeah,
sorry. That's
yeah,
horrible.
yeah. So, I mean, I will forever have a very special place in my heart for him for showing up in that way, and that is not common. We've not had any surrogate experience hyperemesis yet. Knock on wood,
I would
like as
say
an
knocking
agency.
on, yeah,
Yeah,
knocking
knocking
on
on
wood.
all the wood. I mean, obviously some nausea, but not to that level. But
Yeah.
that's the type of thing that hypothetically can happen, and yeah, it's a lot.
Yes, it is. I mean, they are the unsung heroes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then even like, that we've talked a bit before about this, that surrogates typically don't feel attachment or longing for this child. They very much know going into this that this is, their connections to the intended parents, and this is their child. But there's a real now what feeling at the end, right? This whole thing has concluded, and you've had a very clear purpose, and this has been such a massive part of your life, and you deliver, and the intended parents oftentimes go home to see their local pediatrician pretty quickly, and you're recovering as a surrogate, and you're at home, and you're kind of like, huh,
And his
now what do
role,
I
the
do?
spouse's role now changes again too. Yep.
Exactly. Right? Because now, not that there's pieces to pick up, but there's an emotional adjustment that somebody that you live your life with is now going through. So
Yeah.
even after all is done, the partner is still very much showing up, and their life has been affected pretty massively by this whole journey.
I'll say it's also affected even during, because I mean, it depends. I mean, some people live in big cities and they don't know people. Some people live in little tiny towns, and oh, your wife is pregnant, and what do you mean it's not your child? Like, and I get we could do a whole thing about the snark that goes with that, or that you
Yeah.
can have with that, but for some people that can be socially embarrassing too. And so it's like they're also dealing with the potential of judgment from strangers, right? Or if your kid says something truly embarrassing, or, like any of it's not my dad's baby, like whatever you there,
Yeah.
but
The
that
rumor
can
mill
have,
may the
correct.
rumor
It can
mill may
have
have started up in the elementary school. Yeah.
major, major social potential impacts for people as well. And I mean, we ask, and I'm sure you probably do as well, like, are not just like, is your spouse, and the people right around you supportive, is your family supportive
Yeah.
too? Because that can make a huge difference if you're suddenly showing up, but his parents are not. And I'm sorry, and I'm being very gendered about this, and I apologize, because gestational carriers can have partners that are not male, and so I just want to
And
be very
many
clear
do.
about that. But
Yeah.
it's a lot easier in this context to have that conversation that way. But so if the partner's parents are suddenly like, I don't support this at all, well, you're now dealing with an extra layer that your partner is getting pushback about you, and that, but also you both, you believe that you made this choice, right? Like that you want to go forward with it. So there's a lot of, it's a big onion on the partner
Yeah.
support, and a lot of the strains and stressors that they can be bearing as well through the process.
All right. Well, we're basically at the half hour mark. I want to say for anybody out there, if you have somebody who doesn't understand why is a spouse or partner or support system generally important in this process, please share this video with them, because I think we probably ran through a good 20 reasons why this affects the spouse, partner, support person immensely, and why they are so crucial to a successful surrogacy journey.
And I know you would do the same if somebody reaches out who's even thinking about surrogacy and they want to reach out to either of us. I have plenty of spouses who would make themselves available to talk through the experience and how it was for them. And I'm sure you do too, that you have plenty of gestational carrier spouses who would talk through that experience, because that really helps to know somebody who's been through it.
We sure do, and my co-director Yesenia's husband is always willing to chat with people too, and he's
Mhm.
seen her through now 3 different surrogacy journeys. So usually
Excellent.
we tap him on the shoulder first, but yes, we're always happy to have a conversation with the spouse directly or put them in touch with a spouse or partner who's been through this, maybe who also started out skeptical or
Mhm.
hesitant or something, and so
Yeah.
we have nothing to hide. As always.
I, again, if you do, all you're doing is causing trouble. You're just kicking trouble down the road for yourself if you hide things. So always better be transparent.
Amen. All right. That's as good
Excellent.
a note as any to end on. Good
All
to see you,
right. Well,
Jen.
you too. We'll see everybody in a couple weeks.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.